All right, let's see if we can get this fired up here. It is Tuesday. Running a few minutes late here, but we're going to get Taco Tuesday started here in just a moment. Get all my various and sundry screens going on here. So let's see here. Let's see if we are live and working. Because this computer is not cooperating today. So hopefully if you are out there, you are seeing me. I'm still trying to get things going on here. We're starting a little bit late because my computer just does not want to cooperate tonight. I don't know if it is the internet, my PC. So hopefully you guys are seeing me, even if I am not seeing you at the moment right now. So give me just a second. I apologize for the late start and for the awkwardness of me trying to fix this. Hey, while we're going, maybe, just maybe, we will be up and running here in just a second. What is this right here? Taco Tuesday. Man. Well, all right, I'm kind of flying blind here, so hopefully I'll have my stuff running up in the background here, but I think you guys can see me. So we're just gonna fly with it here. And so if you're out there, thank you for being with us again. Sorry for the late start. Either the computer or the internet is not cooperating tonight, so having some trouble getting all my stuff running. But I think we are live with you. So if you're out there with us, please say hello in the comment section. Hopefully I'll be able to see that here in just a minute as we're getting going. Hopefully my computer will allow me to do that. But as we're getting started in, welcome in again. Pastor Aaron is here for Taco Tuesday, and Taco Tuesday is an opportunity for you to take the message of God's Word and go deeper with it. On Sunday morning, it's really kind of a one-directional thing, and I want it to be more than that for you. I want you to really wrestle with the Word of God. I want you to have an opportunity to ask questions, to process the message longer than just the time that we're sitting there. And so I give you the opportunity to ask questions. And those questions can be anything. They can be, hey, what did you mean by this? Or, hey, I missed this point. What does this mean? Or, I'm not sure I agree with this. Is it this or that? Or it can be more applications. Maybe you go a little further and you say, hey, what does this mean? Or does this, if this is true, does it mean this? And so it gives us that opportunity to interact more about the message. And my hope is that makes it come alive more for you. It makes it mean more for you. It gives you a chance to, just to process a little bit longer, a little bit deeper in the Word. So you text those questions to me. So welcome in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. If you're on the Facebook side, you'll see in the chat, in the comment section, the church text number, 281-864-3056. And that is your number for sending me Taco Tuesday questions. You can send them to me during the sermon on Sunday morning. You can send them to me later on Sunday. You can send them to me on Monday. Sometimes, even if you send them on Tuesday morning, I'll have a chance to look at them. If they're not too hard, I can include them in. But, normally I like to get them before Tuesday if I'm going to answer them on that Tuesday. So send them to me. That number is a great number for you to keep saved in your phone. I have it saved in mine for Sterling Wood text line because it is a great number for you to reach our staff. Maybe it's a time when our church office is closed and you need to reach out to one of our staff, maybe for prayer. Maybe you have a ministry need. Maybe you have a question about something that's going on. You can text that line, multiple. Several of our staff actually monitor that text line, and we will get back in touch with you just as quickly as we can. And so it's a great way to reach our staff. It's a great way to send in prayer requests. We want to be able to pray for you. We want to be able to lift you up. And so when you send a prayer request in, very quickly after it comes in, our staff has it, they're praying for it, and then we get that out to several of our prayer partners so that they can be praying for you as well. So it's a great way for you to share your prayer requests with us. And then, of course, it's there for your Taco Tuesday questions as well. And also, we have several different processes linked up to that. And so let's say you want to be baptized. You're interested in being baptized. You can text the word baptism to that number, just the word baptism by itself, and it'll immediately notify us that you want to be baptized. It'll send you a link to a short little form that you can put some information in, and we can get you set up for baptism. We have a baptism day coming up, August 27th, and we would love to be able to baptize you. And so that's one of the things you can do with that. Maybe you're a new believer, or you're just starting out and you're wanting to really learn and grow in your faith. If you text the word journey to us, JOURNEY, text the word journey to our text line, and it automatically starts you in kind of I think it's a 6-week process where you'll get some encouragement from us. You'll get some different Bible studies from us. You'll get some promptings and some things to study and read to help you begin growing your faith. So that number is really helpful. I hope that you save it in your phone. Just save it as Sterling Wood text line, and we would love to be able to communicate with you that way. All right, so it does look like I am up and live, thank goodness. And so a little question for you getting started off, and this is whether you're live with us or whether you're watching this later on. But, as hot as it has been outside, what is your favorite thing to do in the midst of all of the heat? All right, you like to hide out in the air conditioning, go to the pool, go to the beach. You like to get out in it and do some yard work. What is it that you like to do when it is so stinking hot outside? And so I've been out the last couple of days, getting some work done outside, and it is hard. You have to drink a lot of water, take a lot of breaks, and so. But I think Saturday I definitely overdid it. Wound up laying on the kitchen floor for a little while, trying to not pass out. So if you are out there in it, be careful with that. But I'd love to hear from you. What is it you like to do when it is so hot outside? Drop it over in the comment section, and I'd love to hear from you. Let us know that you're a part of the discussion. All right, so tonight we are into Taco Tuesday with our series about the life of David called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So this past week we talked about the events that lead up to his son Absalom, David's son Absalom, rebelling against him. And we looked at how from 2 Samuel chapter 12, God pronounces this judgment on David for his sin with Bathsheba and having her husband Uriah killed. And he pronounces that God is going to bring a sword from his own house, that what he did in secret, God is going to do in the broad daylight. And so then we see out of that the story of Amnon and Tamar, where David's son rapes his half-sister, David's daughter, and then David's other son, Absalom, in his anger, kills Amnon, he's Tamar's brother. He kills Amnon, and then Absalom ultimately ends up rebelling against David. And God said, what you did in secret, this affair, I'm going to do publicly. I'm going to do under the sun. And so his own son sets up a tent on the roof of the palace and sleeps with David's concubines in the full view of Israel. And so it's really a tragic part of David's story. We've talked about this as the good, the bad, and the ugly, and this is definitely some more ugly that we see in David's life. And so in that, we talked about how passivity plays a role in that, how when we are spiritually passive in our relationships, that it is so devastating. And so we see David's spiritual passivity play out in his non-reaction to what happens with Amnon and Tamar, his non-reaction to what happens when Absalom kills Amnon, and then ultimately his failure in reconciliation that leads Absalom to take these steps. And so we really talked about how we cannot be spiritually passive in the relationships in our life. It's devastating to our legacy and what we leave in our relationships. And so out of that, there was a question sent in for Taco Tuesday. Just have the one question tonight. I have another one, but I've got to do some follow up on it because I'm not exactly sure what they're asking. And so I'll save that one for another Taco Tuesday because I need to reach out to the person with the question. But this question says God does or allows the retribution. So is the retribution that happens to David here with Absalom's rebellion, is it something that God does, God executes judgment, or is it just what God allows David? And so the reason for this question is I talked about how oftentimes God uses our own failings, our own choices and behaviors to bring about the judgment that he declares. And so, so with that, and it makes it seem as though God is somewhat passive in the retribution, because we talked about how David's passivity really sets up this whole situation. David's non-reaction, his non-intervention in what's going on with his children, both in confronting sin and in seeking reconciliation and in really pressing into connection with his children, how it brings about what leads to what God has already declared as his retribution. So is God just a passive participant in this, or is this God actually did this? And so sometimes we get a very clear, distinct answer. For instance, later on in the life of David, he takes a census where he is counting the fighting men, and it's clear that this is not something that God is in favor of, that God supports. It's really about trusting in the strength of his army, the strength of his reign, as opposed to trusting in God. And so God sends an angel to actually enact a pestilence, a plague on the land, in which thousands are killed. And so we see very clearly, in fact, David, God halts the angel before he strikes Jerusalem, and David sees the angel of the Lord physically present there. And so obviously that is something where God is doing a direct, clear intervention, supernaturally, spiritually. We see that, and it's clear that God is the active party there. And there are other times that God allows us to experience natural consequences for our sin and behavior, where it's if you lie all the time, that's going to damage your relationships, and yeah, there is a sin component to it, but at the same time, you're going to experience natural consequences for that sin, and that it's going to take its toll on your relationships because of that. And so in this case, is this an issue where it's just natural consequences to David's own behavior, or is this God directly acting in retribution? And so it's a little bit more of a fuzzy area, but one thing that's clear is in 2 Samuel chapter 12, before these things happen, God declares, I will raise up evil against you out of your own home. I will take your wives before your eyes and give them to your neighbor. What you did in secret, I will do before all Israel and before the sun. So God is declaring that he is the active participant executing in this judgment because of David's sin. So God has condemned David's sin, and he is acting in judgment against David's sin. Now, that doesn't mean that God doesn't also allow these consequences to take place, because it's clear that God uses David's own failings as an instrument for what he is doing. And so it's not always one or the other. Sometimes it's both. God is allowing some things to happen and to play out in our own character and our own integrity and our own makeup, but he's also actively acting to bring about the things that he has declared over us. And so, another example of this is the Assyrians conquering the northern kingdom of Israel. God says, if you fall away, if you worship idols and forsake me, I will carry you away and I will take you into exile. He declares that ahead of time. So there's already this direct declaration that God is going to act. Now then the Assyrians come and they they invade Israel and they take the people, they scatter them throughout the Assyrian Empire, they take them into exile. And so there are some natural things at play. There's the nature of the Assyrian Empire. The Israelites were not the only kingdom that was taken over, destroyed by the Assyrians. That was their nature, to take over and to destroy and to conquer and to cast people aside. It happened to many different kingdoms and peoples during the time of the Assyrian Empire. So that's something that God allowed in their natural makeup. And there are things that the Israelites did that naturally made them susceptible to the Assyrians coming into play. But does that mean that it wasn't God's direct judgment? No. God said, if you do these things, I will do this. He makes it clear that he raised up the Assyrians to conquer them. And he also showed repeatedly throughout their history that he was capable of defeating even larger, stronger enemies when they were faithful and full of faith towards him. And so God does this. He also allows our own actions, our own choices to play a role in how that judgment takes place. So it is God's action, but he also allows it through our own activity, through our own failings. So great question. Only one we have tonight. Want to let you know that we do have some awesome things happening in the next few weeks at church. I hope that you will be a part of all of them. It's been a great summer. And so on the 20th, we kick off back to school. I know some people are starting, our kids and others are starting back to school tomorrow. There's some starting later this week, some starting next week. Different schools starting at different times. But the 20th will be back to school Sunday, and we're going to have a tailgate party. And so outside after church, there's going to be some food, kind of a taco bar type setup out there with beef, pork, and chicken. A lot of great food. And so if you want to be a part of that, you want to buy a ticket for the food ahead of time. So it's $10 a person. Trust me, it is a great value for what you're going to get. And you got to eat lunch after church, right? Anyway, right? So get your tickets this week at church for the food. Kids and youth, you don't need to buy a ticket for them. They're going to have pizza in their classes. So the food is right after the 10:15 service, starting at 11:30. So youth will be in their area. They'll have pizza. Kids will be in Sunday school in their classes. They'll have pizza as well, and you get to be a part of that. And so it'll be a great time for our groups to hang out together and eat together. There are going to be various places to eat around the church. If you want to eat outside, you can brave the heat and eat outside. We will be serving it outside. But you want to pick up your tickets for that. I mentioned on the 27th, we're going to have a baptism celebration that day. Also that morning at 9, I'll be sharing some pictures and testimonies of my recent trip to Israel, some really powerful things, and also sharing some information about a potential trip that you may want to be a part of in the future to Israel. And so that will happen on the 27th at 9, baptism celebration during our 10:15, and multiple things happening in the various weeks. So the next 6 or 7 weeks is going to be really great for our church. I hope that you will be there each Sunday to be a part of it. And look, I hope that you're having a great week and hope to see you on Sunday. Love you guys. And hey, if you're starting back to school, we are praying for you. Whether you're a student, a teacher, an administrator, or a parent, we are praying for you for a great school year, for God's protection and his safety and his guidance over you, and that he would sustain you. Love you guys. Have a great night, and we will see you later. Bye, everybody.